it's typical. We had the snow here the other night. I expected maybe we'd see some bounce in the market because of that, because of the impact that a lot of the corn that remains to be harvested is up in those areas. There's some corn still remaining here. It's already been there. And so I think it's the same thing with the cattle. Mm-hmm. Those numbers are all built into the market already.
Hey, thanks so much for taking the time with us.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Have a good one.
You too. Jackie Vanks is with Stuart Peterson. Joins us on this Wednesday edition of the Closing Market Report.
Agricultural market reports on WILL are made possible with support from Busey. Small business is the next big business. So Busey offers solutions to fit growing business needs, from customizable lending options to succession planning. Busey, your dream, our promise.
Yesterday afternoon, the United States Department of Agriculture released the weekly crop progress report. It shows that 84% of the corn nationwide has been harvested. The rolling 5-year average is 79%. So while we were behind for most of the year, we're finally caught up and actually ahead at this point. Soybeans at 91% are right on target, frankly, at 92% on the rolling 5-year average for the harvested figure. Winter wheat seeding is proceeding ahead of schedule. 84% of that crop is now in the ground. Rolling 5-year average is 80%. It's said to be at this time to be in 30% fair, 55% good, and 10% excellent condition. Now, here are the state statisticians with their updates.
This is Greg Tayson, State Statistician for USDA's National Agricultural Statistics Service Iowa Field Office with the weekly crops and weather report for the week ending November 10, 2013. Iowa's corn harvest at 88% complete advanced 13 percentage points during the week. Although harvest is 8 points ahead of the normal pace, high moisture content is a concern for farmers with fields left to harvest. Statewide, there were 4.7 days suitable for field work, which also allowed farmers to advance soybean harvest to 98% complete, as well as apply anhydrous ammonia and fertilizers during the week. Iowa farmers experienced average temperatures that were 0.6 degrees above normal for the week as a whole. Precipitation occurred statewide from Tuesday morning to Wednesday morning, with over 1.5 inches falling in northeast Iowa. Statewide, average precipitation for the week was 91/100ths of an inch, 31/100ths above normal, and the first time since May that Iowa experienced consecutive weeks with above normal precipitation. Improved topsoil and subsoil moisture levels rated 63 and 41% adequate to surplus respectively, and 52% of Iowa's pastures were rated fair or better, while hay supplies across the state were rated 86% adequate to surplus. This is Greg Tayson reporting from the USDA NASS Iowa Field Office.
This is Mark Schleusener, State Statistician for Illinois with the USDA's National Agricultural Statistics Service. Last week was slightly warmer and drier than average. 8 out of 9 districts in Illinois had average temperatures above normal, and only the southeast was below normal. For precipitation, 7 out of 9 districts were below normal last week. Only the 2 northernmost areas were above normal precip. Corn harvest went up 10 points last week to 93% complete. That compares to 99% 1 year ago and 82% for the 5-year average. Soybean harvest increased by 5 percentage points to 97% complete, compared to 98% last year and 93% normally. Winter wheat planting went up 3 points and reached 98% complete, compared to 98% last year and 92% normally. 77% of the crop has emerged, compared to 80% last year at this time and 77% normally. The condition of the crop was rated as 1% very poor, 20% fair, 71% good, and 8% excellent. I would like to thank all of the producers that responded to the November Ag Yield Survey. Your responses were combined with other reports and used to make estimates for the November crop report last Friday. The information that you provided is important to the agricultural community, and disclosure of individual reports is always prohibited by law. This has been Mark Schleusener with the Illinois Field Office of the USDA's National Agricultural Statistics Service in Springfield.
This is Dan Loftus, State Statistician for the USDA NASS Minnesota Field Office. Minnesota corn harvest remained ahead of normal pace during the week. Despite winter storms, there was 4.5 days rated suitable for field work. The average precipitation statewide was close to normal at 0.44 inches. Corn for grain during the week advanced 14 percentage points to reach 87% complete, just over a week ahead of normal. Average corn moisture at harvest remained at 19%. Canola harvest was nearly complete at 95%. The sunflower harvest remained behind normal but advanced 14 percentage points to reach 79% complete. For the USDA NASS Minnesota Field Office, this is Dan Loftus.
This is Kip Hurlbut with the Great Lakes Regional Office of the National Agricultural Statistics Service with the Indiana Crop and Weather Report for the week ending November 10th, 2013. Rain across the state slowed harvest as the season winds down. Limited grain storage availability has also kept some corn and soybeans in the field, as some growers have met capacity and will need to move grain before resuming harvest. General preparation for winter was well underway, with farmers chopping stalks, continuing fall tillage, and applying lime and fertilizer. 85% of the corn acreage has been harvested, compared with 94% last year and 82% for the 5-year average. Moisture content of harvested corn is averaging about 18%. 93% of the soybean acreage has been harvested, compared to 95% last year and 94% for the 5-year average. Moisture content of harvested soybeans is averaging about 13%. Conditions continue to be favorable for winter wheat. 97% of the winter wheat acreage has been planted, compared to 97% last year and 94% for the 5-year average. 83% of the winter wheat acreage has emerged, compared to 84% last year and 75% for the 5-year average. 73% of the winter wheat acreage is in good to excellent condition, compared to 74% last year at this time. That concludes this week's Indiana Crop and Weather Report. This is Kip Hurlbut reporting.
Our thanks go to the state statisticians for their weekly updates of crop progress across the Midwest. Now up next, Brazilian farmers are using corn as a second crop. I'll have more with one University of Illinois ag economist that finds this trend captivating. Farmers in Brazil have a very long growing season because of their proximity to the equator. It's opened an opportunity for them to grow a second crop after soybeans are harvested. This enthralls University of Illinois ag economist Peter Goldsmith. He makes regular trips to the South American country.
Right now I am fascinated, I just can't do enough, on what's called safrinha. Safrinha is a Portuguese word which means small crop. It's a diminutive, anything inha is a diminutive word. So it's a second crop that follows the soybean crop. And the Brazilians have a comparative advantage in soybeans, where we have a comparative advantage in corn here in the U.S. And soybeans are not our second crop, but are certainly farmers prefer planting corn than soybeans for a number of very good reasons. But in Brazil, the opposite is true, and yields on corn are quite low. Yields on soybean are equal to the U.S.
That's all well and good, but the most interesting part for Goldsmith, the interesting part, is how the Brazilians close to the equator are using their corn crop in conjunction with short-season, low-latitude soybean production that provides a good source of protein in a tropical region. That's truly unique, and it gets better because the Brazilians have learned to grow corn as a second crop, or safrinha.
The punchline is, they're producing a lot of corn, and that's very exciting, and farmers are making money. What it does is it does what economists really push in terms of efficiency, is called factor productivity. It makes the land much more productive. And so I think it's one of the most remarkable things since the Green Revolution, probably more powerful than the Green Revolution, because the size of this crop, of what this land is now producing, the incremental increase, especially when you can double crop with maize, and if you can elevate yields on maize, sends chills down your spine how much more protein, oil, and starch you can produce from a hectare of land.
It takes pressure off clearing land from the rainforest and opens very productive businesses for agricultural producers in a latitude from 15 degrees south to 15 degrees north that has long been considered an agricultural wasteland. For University of Illinois Extension, I'm Todd Gleason.
Support for agricultural programs comes from AgriGold and their newest AgriGold Giant 107-day A6408. Available for 2014 in Roundup Ready and also VT Triple Pro Rib. More information on A6408, including yield and dry down data, is at agrigold.com.
You're listening to the Closing Market Report from Illinois Public Media on a Wednesday afternoon. Let's check the cash grain market. Tara Oliver joins us now from the Logansport facility that belongs to the Andersons in Indiana. Good afternoon to you, Tara.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I am very, very well. Is it slow there today?
You know, things have been a little bit quieter, obviously, since we had some snow earlier in the week, and we're on the tail end of harvest here. But this afternoon, with the sun coming out, it feels like guys, especially to the north, are getting back out and going to get the last of this harvest finished up, so it's starting to pick up just a little bit.
What do you have, 10 or 15% left for corn?
Yeah, I mean, you know, most of it is north of Logansport as you head into the northern part of Indiana for sure now, but, you know, we're definitely down to the last, probably call it 5%.
And all the way through, did yields maintain at a strong level?
Very much so. I mean, especially on corn, we're very fortunate in this area. A lot of, above average yields, some even record yields in this area. There's lots of corn everywhere you look. Elevators are getting filled. Pile space is all filled, and people are tucking it wherever they can find space.
Now, putting it away, does that mean that stuff that's coming into your elevator today, is it being sold or stored?
Stored at the current time. I mean, obviously the ethanol plant we're looking to fill is, as much of our storage as we can and are still using it as far as our consumptive needs. But at our elevator in Delphi, everything we're taking in at this time for the most part we're planning on storing.
And will your basis reflect a stronger bent because of that storage at this time?
Yeah, at this time, certainly. We've been continuing to get more aggressive here as we get through the tail end of harvest. And, obviously since we are storing some, that helps us continue to be more aggressive since there's, more appreciation in the deferred slots as far as what we can sell.
And for the moment, what are your corn bids?
Corn bids tonight on the close, cash price at Delphi is $4.16, cash price at Climbers is $4.15, and cash beans at Delphi tonight were $13.15.
And when you look around the geographic area, are there end users for the soybeans hunting them up, or they feel like they're pretty caught up in their purchases?
No, certainly hunting, soybean harvest was a little bit interesting, a little more drug out. Obviously, there was more that moved this fall because we did create some additional space for corn and most of the producers' bins in this area. So I think that does have the processors still with a little bit of nervousness as they kind of continue to worry about what the supply will be like for the balance of the year. So they're starting to get more aggressive for those beans at this point.
Tara, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
You too. Tara Oliver is with the Andersons Logansport facility in Indiana. Joins us here on the Closing Market Report for this Wednesday afternoon. Drew Lerner will be along in a couple of minutes to take a look at the agricultural weather forecast. You can find us online at willag.org.
Support for WILL Agriculture comes from Murray Wise Associates, LLC. Land auctions, farm management, financial services, and institutional and corporate real estate. Information on upcoming land auctions can be found at murraywiseassociates.com.
Well, here's the schedule of events that's coming up as we look at it for willag.org. Of course, today, the Farmland Markets Conference is taking place, wrapping up, in fact, in this hour at the Hilton Garden Inn right here in Champaign. I stopped by there earlier today. About 200 in attendance. Should be a great program. I'm sure they're happy with what they're finding out about farmland markets. We'll try to bring some of that information to you a bit later. Tomorrow evening in Mount Vernon, the Illinois Beef Association, along with the University of Illinois Extension, at the Farm Credit Services Building, I think at 6 o'clock, and it's $25. You need to sign up with the Illinois Beef Association. We'll host a beef quality assurance program. It's the first in a series of 4. There is another one next week at the American Legion in Lincoln and one in Fairbury. If you're looking to go to one of those, look at the Illinois Beef Association's website. On our own website at willag.org, you'll find on the 2nd and 3rd, we'll be hosting the Ag Masters program that's sponsored by U of I Crop Sciences. There's a link to the program and a way to register there. It's over on the right-hand side of the page in the Outlook Meetings section, and you'll find our Will Ag panels there as well, including the December 10th meeting in Mount Vernon. That one's at the Farm Credit Services building. And the December 11th meeting, which is in Sikeston, Missouri. John Bondurant and Jackie Vakes and Stuart Peterson, or Jackie Vakes and Dan Zwicker will be on hand for that program, which is some of the things that are happening here at WILLAG.org.
Agricultural program.